So, good morning, good morning. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Dodson, and if anyone's new, I just want to clarify that we do record the beginning of these client support calls because there are people at work, there are teachers, and we turn off the recording when clients speak to protect your privacy. So, I wanted to clarify that. And I know we have a wide range of folks. That's why I love this community. We have people like me that have been around for years. My day one was May 18th of 2020, right smack in the pandemic. I was a preschool teacher for 3-year-olds, and I was attempting to teach 3-year-olds on Zoom. Did you know that you cannot teach 3-year-olds on Zoom? It's a true fact. And I have 3 kids, 2 of which are dyslexic, and I was trying to homeschool them. So I was doing intermittent fasting and pouring dark chocolate covered almonds, chips, cookies in my fasting window, and gained 10 pounds on top of what already needed to go away in the pandemic. So I saw someone on Facebook and I was like, okay, it's time. And so it's very strange to say this because how many people do we have? We have 177 people. We have a smaller crew today. Usually it can be up to 400. I joined this call, Coffee with Clients, on my first day. They had it on a Monday for whatever reason, and there were like 5 of us. So there was no hiding. I think I shared. I have no idea what I said. I just like blanked out. But it's pretty amazing how much this call has grown. And like I said, it can range like Tuesday call is more intimate at sometimes like 50, 60 people. And then our Sunday call can be even bigger. So I did this on Tuesday, but I thought I'd do it again because if you're new, I do want to just show. I see all these teachers in the chat. I love it. Share. Let me see if I can pull up this without any big deal. I would love just to briefly show you, like, okay, look at what you got. You buy your food, and guess what else is included? You have a coach. You have the access to the Habits of Health system, the Life book and the Habits of Health book, and you have these calls. Look how many we have. We have a Sunday call that's like this. You'll see that says transition call. So that is for folks when they reach their goal weight, they will go through the next step. We have an off ramp once we reach our goal weight, which is fantastic. And so that's goes over the whole process there. All of this is based in science. It's We are blessed that Dr. A either knew the science or hired the people that did to make all of this make sense. So we just trust the process. But we have these calls in place and coach support to help us along the way. So I interrupt myself. Sorry. Tuesday is that client support call I mentioned. That's midday. We have a men's call now, which I've never attended, obviously, but I hear it's fantastic. And a senior call on Wednesdays during lunch bunch. We have a call for people that have either lost over 100 pounds or on the road to do that. And we also have a GLP-1 client support call. I mean, my gosh, y'all, when we started, I think we had one call a week. This is just amazing. And then we have the call that you're on right now. So I'm going to stop share. And so just touching back again about the wide variety of people. So I am a sugar addict. I'm an emotional overeater. I have been since I was a little girl. Sugar was my BFF. I was kind of an awkward nerd, and I would come home from school and eat just stuff that I hid under my bed. And that has been, and I still am a sugar addict. It's like that I still contend for my health every day. I still want to eat a half gallon of Bluebell ice cream every single day. But I know that if I do, I don't show up as my best self. My clothes are tight. And yes, losing weight is the fantastic part of all this, but I contend for my health daily more for how I show up for myself and for those I love. I was about 50, almost 51 when I started this. My hands were hurting, my knees were hurting, my hips were hurting, and I woke up at 2 in the morning every night, just wide awake, couldn't sleep. Teaching school on Fridays, I would take to my bed every Friday, and I would hear my kids saying, "Have you seen Mom?" "Oh, have you checked your bed?" I think that was a light bulb moment that went off. It's like, I'm missing out on these special moments with my kids. And so, yes, we talk about this program with losing weight, and that's how many of us got here. But the greatest gift of all is how we show up for ourselves. And when people ask me what I do for a living, I say, I help people look in the mirror and recognize the person that they felt like on the inside all along. Because I know that many of us that have struggled with our weight, we see that reflection in the mirror. We're like, that's not how I feel on the inside. I know that that's not how, if you're a believer, like how God wants me to delight in myself, and I don't. And so now I do, not in a conceited way, but I'm proud and I feel good. And so we love the life book and we love the habits of health. So that is our go-to. But I do love when I listen to a podcast or hear anyone talk, and I'm like, yes, I know that because Dr. A already talks about that. So I was listening to a Mel Robbins podcast this morning, and they were talking about the scientific approach to habits. Because that's all this program is we're replacing bad habits with good ones or better. Maybe you're just need a few little tweaks of improvement. And so Mel said that we have to get it out of our head. If we just say, "Oh, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do it," no, we won't. We have to have markers and things and visuals to remind us. So the number one thing was to make it obvious, make it apparent, make it visual. And so when I started the 5-in-1, I had a little gift bag on my desk, and I usually have it here just as a reminder. And I would put my 5 feelings in there every morning. And I, that was my visual reminder. That was it. And then I would, set my reminder on my phone sometimes. I'm not one that forgets to eat. So I didn't need to do that as often. And then we remove temptation. Dr. A talks about our healthy surroundings. We do so much better, right? If we don't have what tempts us. And, I've heard people say, but my family, oh, I want them to have the Cheetos and Doritos. They do not need, I don't, I'm not going to get into a big red dye number, whatever the heck number, but they don't need the Cheetos and Doritos either. They absolutely do not. They won't mind a little upgrade on their snacks. And for me, if I was like that and there were some healthier snacks that I would even eat a healthier snack that I shouldn't eat, I would tell my family to hide it from me. So we remove temptation. We track and we monitor process. We track and monitor our process, right? Whether that's in an app, whether that's, on paper. I love paper. And so, we have our guide that we receive, or we can make notes of what we're eating. So that's a great visual. And then we have a system. Oh my gosh, y'all, we have the greatest system in the world. We have the 5-in-1. We have the GLP-1 plan. We have a plan for optimization. We have a plan for transition. Y'all, we have the plan in place. All the guesswork is taken out for us, which is amazing. So many of us are in a world that we cannot control. We can't control our kids being bullied. We can't control if our kids are, not getting into the colleges they want. We can't control if our 3-year-old is not potty training. There's so much out of our parents if they're unhealthy. There is so much we can't control. This is literally the one thing we can. And what a gift. So I also want to point out that I've recently had several conversations with clients that were above the weight that they want to be because they were not eating enough. I know we talk a lot about overeating and myself, like with binge eating. And so I am having to remind myself there are people that have just, their metabolism is shut down because they're not fueling their body enough. And so I do, if that is you, I do want to recognize that because I feel like I talk a lot about my sugar addiction. And so I don't want to not point that out. And so if that is you, I hope that you will make an oops, hold on 1 second, sorry. Set a reminder in your phone, and then that way you'll be reminded to eat. And all of this is how can we set ourselves up for success to show up as the version of ourselves that we want. the last thing that Mel mentioned was to do something in the morning. So, that's about exercising or what have you. And so I was like, how can I incorporate that morning being one of the five scientific tools? We get it out of our head, we make it visible, we remove temptation, we have tracking and monitor, and we have a system in place. And so I thought, you know what?
To get back in my phone.
See, sorry guys.
I
Oop.
think it's all right.
Go. Okay. Um, if we have the moment in the morning, our brain is so powerful, as we all know. And so if you have a visual, I have a client kickoff call later, and I know she's on here, and I'm going to do something special with her to have a visual of the future self that she wants. And so I talked about this on Tuesday. If you have a favorite fueling, sit with that fueling and imagine how you want to feel and show up as that why power, as we call it, instead of willpower. And so in the mornings, I want you to track your day, visualize your day, how you want it to roll. And whether that's visualizing yourself with each fueling, and I tell my clients, pick out the night before what you're having that day. So if you're like, okay, I'm having my s'mores bar at 8 and then 11, visually talk it out with yourself. And then you'll win the day in your mind before you even start it. So that's just one thing I thought we can incorporate this. And I love analogies, and we hear a lot of analogies about cars. I think they use the car example because if you have a horse instead, that's fantastic. But I would say most people have a car, have ridden in a car. And so we've heard the analogy of, the four components. We have the fuelings, of course. We have the coach. We have these calls, the community, and we have our books, our mindset work. So we need all four cars, right? Many of us have done diets like, wait, I mean, gosh, done, you can't even imagine how many diets. I'm sure many of you also. And many of us had those diets that was a unicycle. It was just the food. There was no coach, there was no community. We tried to do it all on our own. So I want to take that analogy a step further with the car. And so one thing that I've kept hearing over and over in my head is that I want to impart on you, as I mentioned, I'm a sugar addict forever. And whether you're a sugar addict or whether you never had trouble with your weight and all of a sudden you do, we are learning these good habits and we can never not focus on these. There's never a stopping point, which is exciting and scary. There's no doing this, losing weight, and then you go back to your old habits. You will gain your weight right back. I'm not saying if you start, hold on, sorry, I gotta meet some folks. I'm not saying if you stop eating the fuelings because, if Dr. A says we move to a way that we eat low glycemic foods every 3 hours. So if you don't want to keep eating the fuelings, that's totally up to you. I love the fuelings. I will always have an Optavia brownie, and now I love the Optavia Sin bars. I will always use those tools because why would I not? They help me reach my goal weight, and I've been here for 4 years. But so with the car analogy, there is no U-turn. If you're on a road, you're driving in your car, we're driving in the car, and that's our health journey, okay? There is no option for a U-turn, period. The U-turn would be going back to that self that called up and reached out to your coach, that version of you that was either there was emotional mismanagement, there was unhealth. So if you don't give yourself the option of a U-turn, then going back there is not an option, right? Now, that's not to say that the journey is not going to be moments of being rugged. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen. And I'm a Disney lover. Um, I love Disney World and Disneyland. There is a ride at Disneyland called Radiator Springs, and I think they're opening it up at Disney World, actually, which makes me a little sad because they're tearing out part of the park that's been there forever. But there is a ride called Radiator Springs, and it is our family's favorite ride. And I don't know if it's the music or how smooth the road is as we're on this ride. It's like I wish that my life could just be on this one part of this ride all the time. It's just so peaceful. And like I said, the music. And so I was going to see if I could I love a visual. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen. Take this away. Okay, that's gonna go away. How do I make that go away? Okay. All right. So, and not the audio you might not be able to hear, but here we are on this ride. Was it gonna play? Is it not gonna play? Might not. Okay, well, this might be not what I was hoping it would do. Oh, come on. Oh, here we go. So this is this peaceful time. Beginning of the ride is very peaceful. Okay, so this is me right in optimization. I'm going to compare this to our journey. Everything's going great. I'm posting. And then here comes the big 18-wheeler. So this is this journey. There is never going to be a stopping point. There's going to be a time where you reach your goal weight and it is smooth sailing, just like at the beginning of that ride. But there might come an obstacle or a trigger, for lack of a better word. And I'm going to share a story and I'm going to stop recording here in a second. But I want to compare us in the car to this journey. So many of us did a road trip on a rugged road, a non-paved road where our wheels would get torn up. We were on rocks, we were on nails, we were on glass. Oh, the video didn't play. I'm so sorry. It's a black screen. Well, it was just a smooth ride. And so getting to this program, we are on a paved road. Okay. We've got the gas, which is our fuelings. We've got a coach, which is okay, the GPS, our maps. Sorry, the video didn't show. I can share it on the coach page later. The GPS is our guide. That's our coach. We have music playing to make this ride more comfortable. The AC, that's these calls. That's our mindset work with the books. All of that makes this ride to our best selves more comfortable, right? And there might be rain. There might be a momentary lapse in our GPS, and we have to rehook it. And it's up to us to rehook that GPS, right? It's up to us to reach out to our coach if we're having these moments where we need to reconnect ourselves. It's up to us to put that fuel in the car, or fuelings or food if you're at your goal weight. But you will never stop driving on this road. And if you could have seen my video, it was just a smooth ride, and then there was an 18-wheeler that came. And so I'm going to stop recording because I just want to tell a story about